Welcome back to another episode of UFC Casuals. I'm Bobby, along with my co-host Andrew, and tonight we are talking about the best card of the year so far, UFC 290. We have Volk versus Yair. We have Moreno versus Pantoja. We have Whitaker versus Dricus. We got Hooker versus Turner, and we got a lot more, and we're going to talk about all that tonight. We're going to jump straight in and start at the top. We got Volk versus Yair here for the featherweight belt. Volk's coming back to 145 after his attempt at the 155 belt. What do you make of this fight?
I'm just entertained for this fight because it's new blood for Volk, right? I mean, he went through that trilogy with Max where, all the first two fights at least were so close, and everybody's like, you got to run it back a third time. People thought he lost the second one, right? So, he just a lot of his career, at least, in the past was so based on that, but he's really kind of formed his own new path, right? With dominating Korean Zombie, getting that big win over Ortega, where it looked like he was going to lose a couple times and not clawing back, but just escaping and getting the wins. And then, like you mentioned, his last fight with Islam, so many people thought he moved up in weight class against a bigger guy and won. A lot of people thought that. So I'm just excited to see more new blood for Volk, just furthering his legacy. And it's a new challenge, a tough challenge, with Yair Rodriguez in front of him.
Yeah, very tough challenge. An interesting matchup, too. A different fight than he's seen before with the striking that Yair has. Like you've talked about the Taekwondo that he has. He's a different type of fighter, a new challenge for Volk. And every style of fighter that we've seen Volk run into, he didn't beat Islam, but he put up a damn good fight, and he nearly beat him. He put on some good rounds, and many do think that Volk won. I don't, but besides the point, still put on a good fight. He beat Ortega, he beat Holloway, he beat Korean Zombie. So I think he continues that. I think he's adaptable. But there is some vulnerabilities in his game. We've seen a video of him leaving the head kick open at times in certain fights. He did it against Islam. He's done it in past fights at featherweight. That could be a problem for him with Yair and his kicks and his creativity with striking. That could be a problem. I don't see a lot of other vulnerabilities that he has. I think he's on another level than any other featherweight, but that could be something that Yair takes advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, from the Islam fight, we saw how adaptable Volk is, right? The top pressure he had in the wrestling in that fifth round. I mean, he stole that fifth round, almost stole that fight, and almost finished Islam. I mean, nobody's ever looked that good against Islam, right? So there's just not, like you mentioned, not a lot of path to victories for Yair. But if there is one of them, it's the head kick, it's the kicks in general, it's the power. He's a dangerous striker, and I don't know if he gets it done personally. I mean, it's tough to predict a one-shot KO when that's it looks like the only way for somebody to win. Because, Volk is so adaptable to every style he's ever faced. Whenever there's a challenge in front of him, he adapts. He gets better in certain aspects of his game, and he's just gotten better and better, and he looks like a complete fighter, and that's why he's the GOAT at featherweight right now.
Yeah. Something that could be a concern for Yair is in his fight against Holloway, we saw Holloway when he got on top of him, he fully controlled him, and he was able to just unload on the ground and pound. And we saw Volk. We've seen him do that so many times. When he gets on top and he just unloads, he's scary. Like I know he's a shorter guy for the division, but he's got so much power. And his top control is very good. So I think if this goes to the ground and Volk can start to unload some ground and pound, it could be a problem for Yair. I don't think Volk. He's not known for his finishes. I don't think he gets one in this fight. But I do think he wears Yair down.
I think you mentioned how good he is on top, but we just saw in Yair Rodriguez's last fight when he was on his back against Josh Emmett.
Yeah.
Right? He got a sub off his back. He got a triangle. It was a deep triangle too. So the guy's clearly probably not scared of the ground. If I had to guess with Yair, I don't think if it goes to the ground, all hope will be lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely don't want Volk on top of you, ground and pound, and get in your guard. Just making it dirty. I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction. I think Volk gets a decision victory. Like you said, he's not a big finisher, right? I don't think he's going to go out there and give Yair a taste of his own medicine and knock him out. But I think maybe early in this fight, Volk gets stunned. I could see that. I mean, just a head kick, an elbow, something in close. He doesn't see coming. He could get stunned, but he's so durable, man. I don't see Volk going out. I think he gets a decision victory.
Yeah, I'd be shocked to see Volk get put out. So I'm with you there. My prediction, I have Volk winning. I, I think he'll clearly be the winner. I'm not going to say it'll be a huge points disparity, but I don't think there'll be much debate about who won this fight afterwards. I got Volk by decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, we have the flyweight belt on the line. Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja's beaten Moreno twice, once in the Ultimate Fighter, once in the UFC. So they're meeting for a third time now in the Octagon. Now, this was 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, sorry. So a lot has changed. But I want to know what you think about their past matchups and how this fight's going to go.
I mean, yeah, very different fighters 5 years ago to now, especially on the Brandon Moreno side. I know I saw on the UFC countdown, Pantoja's coach was saying, man, everybody's saying Brandon Moreno's a different fighter. Pantoja's a different fighter too. This is a long time ago, right? So it's tough to look at the 2 wins for Pantoja and really, think that it's going to go the same. I mean, he had such a grappling advantage in the Ultimate Fighter fight. He got a rear naked, but that was even longer ago than the 5 years ago. I don't know how long ago that one was. So probably 6 or 7 years ago. So just completely different fighters now, especially Brandon Moreno. He's leveled up in every aspect of his game, and I do think this can. I mean, Pantoja's good on the feet, but in my opinion, Moreno has the advantage there. But when it goes to the ground, Pantoja's got the advantage. So I don't want to call it a striker versus grappler matchup, but both their strong suits are kind of opposite of each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. Look, Moreno's his jiu-jitsu and his ground game has improved a lot. Like you said, he's leveled up in every aspect of his game. Very well-rounded fighter now compared to what he was years ago. So I don't think it'd be easy for Pantoja to, once he gets this on the ground, to sink in a submission. I don't think we'll see that happen. Moreno's a very well-rounded fighter, and he's improved so much since those losses. Right now, Pantoja's great. His jiu-jitsu is great. His ground game is great, but his defense on the feet is not the best, and Moreno's a great striker. If this goes to the ground, I could maybe see, Pantoja getting some control time, winning some rounds. But ultimately, I think Moreno is too well-rounded. I think he gets this done. I think he wins by a close decision.
Okay. I'm going to go a little different to you because, I agree. Brandon Moreno has leveled up in every aspect of his game, and he's, in the quadrilogy or whatever you call it with Davis and Figueiredo. Every fight, you saw something new out of Brandon Moreno, another level to his dogness, just his heart. That's that Mexican spirit. He has it. Of all the Mexican fighters, I'd say probably the 2 guys in the main and co-main event probably have it the most. These 2 Mexican, they got that Mexican heart, man. And however, I am big butts. I like Alexandre Pantoja. I really do. I know you said he has some sloppy defense on the striking. I don't think it's going to matter because he's a dog too, and he's scrappy, and I think he wants it to be dirty. They call him the Cannibal for a reason, man. That's his nickname, the Cannibal.
That's a crazy nickname.
So he's scary. I think he gets this to the ground. I think he does. I do. I think he'll out-wrestle him. I think he can get him down. And I actually have Alexandre Pantoja and New submission, and I'm going to go second round. I think he does it quick. Yeah.
Wow, gets it done early.
Yeah.
That'd be exciting. I think either way, this is going to be one of the closest fights of the main card. And it's an interesting storyline considering Pantoja has 2 wins over him now. So this will be fun. I'm looking forward to that one. Moving on, we have the third fight on the card, Rob Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. The winner likely getting another title, or possibly another for Whittaker, or first title shot for du Plessis. Either way, the winner likely next in line for the title shot against Izzy. I'm not just saying this because I don't like Dricus. I don't see how he beats Whittaker. Whittaker's better in every aspect of fighting. Unless he gets like a flash knockout or something, I don't know how du Plessis pulls this off. What do you think?
Rob is too durable to get one punch knocked out, right? And that's what du Plessis needs because, we can say he got this nose surgery and he can breathe better now. But I mean, it's so crazy how fast his gas tank goes that I don't know how much this surgery is even going to help, because it could not have been that bad that he is gassing in 2 minutes after like bum rushing somebody once. And what's going to happen if he bum rushes in the first round? Rob, he goes for the flash knockout, like you said, right? Maybe his only path to victory. It doesn't work. Rob withers the storm, and then he's got 13 more minutes with Rob Whittaker. I mean, just walking him down, dominating him probably. I agree. I don't see a path to victory for Duplessis, man.
This whole I'm gonna bring football into this. Okay. This Dricus Duplessis nose surgery thing reminds me a lot of when Jameis Winston had LASIK eye surgery, and everybody thought he was gonna go from throwing like 30 picks to being an elite quarterback, and he still sucked. It's just I think this is overblown. This whole 8% oxygen intake thing, I think it's a bunch of shit. His cardio just isn't good. That's the reality of it. He was gassed against Derek Brunson after one round. Derek Brunson. Now, he beat Derek Brunson, but it wasn't anything to be impressed over. Derek Brunson, his corner threw in the towel as the round ended. I mean, it was a hard watch. And Dricus was gassed in round one. And then his other most notable win recently was against Darren Till, who retired, who's retired since then. This guy's not good. He's beaten a couple guys that were layups for him. Whittaker's too big of a step up. Maybe if he eased into it, maybe he could have a path to victory against Whittaker in the future. But in this fight, I just don't see him getting it done. Whittaker's a much better fighter in every aspect, and frankly, I see Whittaker finishing this fight.
And the problem with this, right, it is such a big step up for Dricus. Is yes, he's fighting the number one contender, the guy who is number 2 in that division, has been number 2 in that division. The only guy he can't beat is Izzy. I just want to give a rundown of the people that Robert Whittaker has beaten, because every number one contender that they want to be the number one contender, they have to beat him. He's the gatekeeper. They lose. Well, let me go through some names: Uriah Hall, Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson, Yoel Romero twice, Jacare Souza, Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vittori. The list goes on, right? So to be the number one guy, you have to beat him, and nobody can do it. And those are people that have beaten elite competition, right, to get a shot at Rob. And Dricus has not beaten elite competition to get to Rob. He's being handed a shot because Israel wants to fight him so bad. And as much as he wants it to happen, I don't see it happening.
No, it's not going to happen. And like you said, he hasn't. Not only has he not beaten any elite competition, even the not so good competition he's beaten, it hasn't even been in convincing fashion. No. Now the Darren Till fight he looked good in, but they said it's Darren Till who's since retired. Extremely washed Darren Till. And then the Derek Brunson fight, that was embarrassing. That was just straight up embarrassing. I mean, he got dominated in round 1 by Derek Brunson, nearly lost the fight in round 1. And then, of course, Derek Brunson's cardio is horrific. And I don't even know if he's going to fight again.
He's 40. So, Derek Brunson was 40. It's an old man. And he couldn't get him out of there like with ease.
Derek Brunson, at the end of round 2, the shit that it made me laugh. Derek Brunson was just kind of on his back smiling because he knew he doesn't have. He's not going to fight for a title. That's never going to happen. He's just out there for a check. He was smiling, laying on his back, not even defending himself at the end of round 2. His corner had to throw in the towel. Duplessis couldn't even get in there and get a finish then. The guy's not good. That's as simple as it is. And then, like you said, the UFC just wants this fight with Izzy because of the whole Africa thing. It's not going to happen. He's not beating Rob. And although Rob's not a guy who's known for getting finishes, he's going to finish Duplessis. He's terrible. He's not good. Either Whittaker's going to knock him out, or Duplessis is just going to tire out, and Whittaker will, take advantage of that. I don't know. This is just a hilarious matchup. And
I was just about to say it's almost laughable how much we're going in on Dricus right now, and how little belief we have in him. But there's no reason to have belief in the guy. When you, like you said, all you have to do is watch that Derek Brunson fight. Derek Brunson's not anywhere near an elite fighter anymore. Maybe he was.
Go ahead.
Maybe Derek Brunson was good 5-7 years ago. this was a 40-year-old Derek Brunson, and he was gassing the first round against him, looking like he was going to lose.
The only reason people are even or that okay, if you just look at the numbers, the number ranks of the guys that Dricus beat, you're like, okay, that's fair. He deserves this shot. The guys he beat weren't good. These are guys at the end of their careers who are barely clinging on to these rankings. And I don't know if Brunson's retired or not. I know Till is at least taking a step away from the UFC and just MMA in general.
Yeah.
But these guys aren't good. These guys aren't top 50. Okay, maybe I'm stretching it a little bit, but they weren't what the number rankings said they were. That's the only reason he has this fight. He wouldn't beat anybody else in the top 5. It's not gonna happen. He's not gonna beat Rob. And I know this has just become a slander fest, but it's the reality.
I mean, yeah, Darren Till was coming off like 4 of the 5 losses. Like, if he was a top 10 opponent, then I'm a top 10 opponent because I mean, Dricus didn't earn this fight. He didn't. They're trying to fast track him, and it's not going to work. It's not.
What would be an absolute travesty is if this goes to decision, and because they want that Izzy Dricus fight, he wins by decision. That would be sickening. I don't see that happening though. If this goes to decision, I don't think he's barely able to stand up when they're reading the scorecards.
I'm not even sure if it's possible for like Dricus to look good enough where you could give him a robbery. Like, because I think it's going to be so egregiously one-sided that it's going to be like a 30-26 rob where like there's no way you can even give Dricus a robbery decision because it's not even going to be close.
Yeah.
That's my prediction, by the way.
You got a 30-26 win for Rob by decision. Yep. I got him winning by round 2 TKO. I don't see Whitaker standing or Duplessis standing any chance. So we're beating a dead horse at this point.
Yeah, let's move on. This is getting embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't look. Maybe he's a good guy, but not a good fighter. So.
He's pretty humble. He actually is humble. I've noticed in the press conferences and stuff. He's a humble guy, but he's probably humble because he knows he's going to lose.
Yeah, he can't be too cocky if he knows what's coming.
Yeah.
Moving on to the second fight of this card, we have Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker. This could be a banger. This could be a fight of the night candidate, assuming one of them doesn't get knocked out early. But these are two guys who like to strike. Dan Hooker can get in some brawls. Jalen Turner, great striker, a little bit more patient, but still exciting to watch. I think it's going to be a really fun fight. What do you make of this one?
It can be fun, but I also fear for Dan Hooker's life because the durability. It started during COVID in that Dustin Poirier fight where it was the bloodiest like war I've ever seen. Both men. I don't know how Dustin Poirier has recovered from that, to be honest, but Dan Hooker hasn't. And he got stretchered out, and his durability hasn't been the same since because that used to be his strength, right? And Dan Hooker went on such a losing streak that he thought, hey, maybe I can go down the featherweight and try and fix this. And then he got knocked out by Arnold Allen. So it's like, and now you're going to feed him. And I know they fed him a prospect last time, and he got the win. Dan Hooker did. But now, hey, right back up to Jalen Turner, top 10 opponent. Good luck.
Look, if Hooker can hold up like he has in the past, this could be a really exciting fight. But like you said, his durability is worn down. His chin's worn down a lot because of that Poirier fight. I mean, it's kind of like Gaethje versus Ferguson, where he was just not the same fighter after that war. But man, I don't know. I like the matchup stylistically. It's two strikers, and I like watching that. Ultimately, I think Turner gets it done. I think his cautiousness and his patience plays in his favor quite a bit in this fight versus Hooker, who will go out there and brawl. And especially if Hooker's chin isn't the same, I think Turner's going to pick him apart. What do you make of this? What is your prediction on this one?
Jalen Turner, he's 4-0 against Aussies.
Yeah.
You're facing another Aussie here. Yeah. So I think an underrated part of Jalen Turner's game is his submissions, actually. He's gotten some good subs. I mean, he's got some great guillotines. I could see him, early in this fight. I don't know if it's first round. I could see it. Like you mentioned, Jalen's a little, he's patient, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I could see, early second round, he's felt him out. He hits him with a left hook or something. Tests that chin, knocks him down, and then gets him into like a guillotine and subs him in the second round. That's my prediction.
I have a round 2 knockout for him. I'd like to see him get a submission. I'd like to see it. We've already seen it once with him. I'd like to see some variety in how he finishes fights. But I think he gets a clean knockout. I have it coming in round 2, just like I do with the Whitaker Duplessis fight. Another round 2 finish. Like you said, Hooker's durability is not the same as it once was. Turner's a smart striker. He fought Gamrot right last.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough matchup for Turner on short notice because and stylistically with Gamrot's offensive wrestling. This is a different fight. This is in his expertise, and I think he gets the job done.
Yeah, that was a tough transition to go from, all right, I'm gonna beat up on an old, kind of washed up Dan Hooker to here's Mateusz Gamrot who's gonna, leg hump you. I mean, it was tough. So I think Jalen Turner is definitely excited for this fight more than that one.
Yeah. Moving on, we are looking at the first fight of the main card. The biggest betting odds favorite in UFC history, Bo Nickel, taking on Val Woodburn. A late replacement fight for Bo Nickel is getting fed Val Woodburn after Tresean Gore pulled out at the last minute. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about this one. I mean, the odds speak for themselves. Bo Nickel's a minus 2,100 favorite. Woodburn is a plus 1,100 underdog. But I tell you what, if Woodburn were to somehow win this fight, this would be, but by the betting odds, the biggest upset in UFC history.
Yeah. To be honest, though, this is about the level of fight that Bo Nickel should be having right now in his second career UFC fight. I'm not like mad at the matchup. It's the fact that it's like a pay-per-view opener.
Yeah.
And there were people that were willing to step up, like big names willing to step up and fight Bo Nickel on, a week's notice. And they don't want to push him that quickly. I get it. But also, why are you putting it on a pay-per-view then?
Yeah.
Nobody's paying to see Bo Nickel. Nobody is paying. I would never pay $70 anyway, but I'm definitely not paying $70 to watch Bo Nickel open up a pay-per-view. No offense. He can be a championship level fighter one day. They're pushing him too quickly against bums too. I mean, this is, maybe we did too much slandering on Duplessis. Let's get away from the slandering of certain people's opponents.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at Val Woodburn's opponents earlier. He has a 7-0 record. It is cans.
Yeah.
Like
he's fighting in some shit promotion.
No, his last fight was against a 42-year-old who hadn't fought in 5 years.
Jesus.
So 7-0, sure, but that is a very padded 7-0 record. Yeah. Bo Nickel is going to dominate this guy. It's not even going to be competitive, man.
No, it'll. I got a round 1 submission for Nick. I don't see how this is competitive at all. I don't know. Maybe Woodburn just gets extremely lucky and lands some flash knockout. This is like what we're talking about with Duplessis. This is okay. We're talking about one-sided fights. This is the definition of it. This is ridiculous. And look, maybe Val Woodburn could be. I think he was supposed to be on the Ultimate the Contender Series. Sorry, he's supposed to be a future Contender Series fighter. So maybe he can carve out a little career in the UFC as a prelims fighter. But he's not going to beat Bo Nickel. And like you said, this doesn't deserve a spot on the main card. I get, I guess Dana really likes Bo Nickel, but I don't think he has that hype. He doesn't have that star power. Nobody cares that much about Bo Nickel.
Not yet.
Not enough for him to be the first fight on a pay-per-view on fight week, mind you. This is supposed to be the best card of the year. So it's pretty ridiculous that this is opening up this pay-per-view. Nevertheless, a great card, but I'm with you on that.
I would have taken Robbie Lawler's retirement fight to open any day.
About it. Yeah. So my prediction is Bo Nickel round 1 sub, and for you,
sub in less than a minute.
I'll say under 90 seconds. I'll play it a little safer. All right, I'll hand it off to you to cover Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price. I'll let you take over.
Yeah. I just mentioned Robbie Lawler. It's his retirement fight. It's an emotional week for him. I'm sure he's had such an illustrious career. I mean, anybody that's been a UFC champ in the sport's young history, if you were a champ at any point, you're a legend, right? I mean, even if you got a fluke victory, like I don't know, a Matt Serra or something, you're still a UFC legend because it's such a young sport. You're a champ. He's an MMA legend. I mean, he went to Strikeforce, Pride. Robbie Lawler has it all, and they call him ruthless for a reason. Ruthless Robbie Lawler, because he is. His fight style is, albeit he's older now, but even in his last fight against Brian Barberena, he went out there and had a dogfight. Sure, he got TKO'd in the second round, but I mean, he still showed that even at 41 years of age, Robbie Lawler is still going to go out there and put on a show. And I think his opponent, Nico Price, he's kind of a vet himself. He's had some ups and downs in the UFC. It'll be a good fight. I think Nico Price knows the agenda for this fight. He knows that, they need to go out there and put on a good show for Robbie's retirement fight. And I think they will. I'd love to see Robbie Lawler go out on top. But me personally, Nico Price, he's younger. He probably just a little bit more durable. I'm sorry, Robbie. I want to see you win this fight, man, but I think Nico will get him out of there in the third round.
Yeah, I'm with you on that prediction. Hell of a career, though, for Lawler. I was planning on originally covering the Jack Della Maddalena fight. Either one of them. I was originally planning on covering his fight against Sean Brady, and then that switched to his fight against Josiah Harrell. Both of those fell through. So JDM, unless something crazy happens, I don't think he'll be fighting tomorrow. I know Kevin Holland stepped up again, offered to fight him on less than a day's notice this time at a catch weight. The real BMF, by the way. Let me give him his props there. Shout out to him. And he was still willing to fight Michael Chiesa a week later. So, or on the next pay-per-view, sorry. Shout out to Kevin Holland, but it doesn't seem like JDM is going to fight on this card. So instead, I'll be covering Jimmy Crute versus Menafield, a rematch from the draw that happened earlier this year. Menafield was better on the feet, and he even hurt Crute a few times, but Crute's wrestling kind of evened it out. Because of a point deduction, that's what ended it in a draw. I think Crute was the one who had the point taken away, but he likely would have won had that point not been taken. I think this time around he cleans up on those fouls, the nut shots and eye pokes. I don't think we'll see any of that. I think he wins by decision this time. It was a fun fight last time, so I'm hoping for another good one here, but I got Crute winning by decision.
Yeah, that'll be a good fight again, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all we have for UFC 290. Best card of the year so far. We are pumped, especially after a long break from some good UFC cards. We needed this. So happy fight week. We cannot wait to be back for the review. I can't wait to talk about everything that happened.
Yeah. Hey, maybe awesome. Maybe Drickus will shock the world. Maybe.
Hey, look, man, we'll eat our words on Sunday or Monday if that's the case. We will own up to it. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys for the review. Enjoy your nights.
See ya.